Hello and welcome back to Ride Rescue. In this episode, I will walk you through how to repair a front fender that's a pretty substantial dent, and it's in an area that's pretty difficult to fix. So as a DIY project, this is something that you can do in your garage with most of the typical tools, some fairly inexpensive Harbor Freight tools. I'll walk you through all of that, going from repairing the dent to putting in filler and paint and final finish work. So hopefully I can save this fender, otherwise I'll be walking you through an actual replacement of a fender. But I'd really like to keep as much of this original paint as I can for blending purposes. But if not, then I'll show you how we can blend as well. So this car is actually my neighbor's car. I'm not just doing it as a friendly gesture. This was an oops on my part. I was going to a funeral, my head wasn't clear, I was talking to my wife, I'm backing up, and my sensor on my truck went beep and I went crunch at the same time. So, fortunately, my neighbor trusts me to fix the car. It was one of those things I didn't want to turn it in on my insurance, something that a lot of us will run into. We don't want to raise our insurance rates. It's a fairly inexpensive repair for me to fix it myself, but it's a pretty expensive repair for her to take it to a shop and to lose access to the car for a week. So I'm trying to do her a favor, she's doing me a favor. At the end of this project, hopefully it works out best for all of us. So we've got a little bit of a dent in this front fender that it's right on the lip and the paint is coming off, so you can't do a paintless repair. So I'll walk you through how to fix a dent like this in your garage. With just regular tools. You can even use a inexpensive spray gun, but I want to get a pretty decent high gloss finish on this and get it to atomize and flow really well, so I'll be using a nicer DeVilbiss gun, but I can show you using the lower end guns that you can get at Harbor Freight, where I'll put on the primer. And I might even just put on the base coat, because this will be a base coat, clear coat, in order to match this finish. But I'll walk you through getting the fender off. I was hoping I could just get to the back side of this fender, but it's pushed in just far enough and it's creased just far enough. I'm going to have to remove this fender and really work it. There's quite a lip there for it to be straightened out. Hopefully I can straighten it out. Hopefully I can save this fender. If not, I'll be buying another fender and I'll have to go through a complete paint change on the fender from base primer all the way up. Let's start by taking it all apart and let's see just how bad this is. We'll start by getting the tire out of the way. I'll get the inner fender well out of the way. And we'll try to expose all the bolts to this fender. Probably have to take the headlight out. Want to make sure it's safe. Inside of this fender in the bracket, there is a plastic piece that the bumper actually clips to, and that's what all these pieces of plastic are that are falling out. So it hit right on the edge of that, where that attaches, and broke that piece. So I'll have to replace that in order to remount the bumper. So there. So on the underneath side of these rocker panels are just these little clips. They're expansion clips. Get a screwdriver underneath that edge, pull that pin back, and then it just slides out. This out of the way enough rather than risking breaking anything. I'm going to see if I can get the bottom of this fender off. Well, I have the bottom of the fender off, and if you can see in there, you can see foam. The reinforcing bar on the edge of that fender is foam sealed in, so I'll have to break that seal. We'll start by taking this top bolt off. And then I'll unbolt all along the top of the fender inside the engine bay. Along the top of the fender, we've got 2 bolts, and it appears as though the headlight is bolted to the fender too. So I'm going to have to remove the headlight after all. On the underneath side of the fender right here, the headlight has a tab that goes into that fender, and that headlight has to come straight out, and it's grabbed on with the bend, and I'm trying not to break it. So there is a little locking mechanism on the bottom side of this headlight that snaps into the edge of the fender, into that little hole. I had to pop that out once I got that out of there. I think everything is free now except for the adhesive at the door jamb. Now you can see the real damage. That has been creased over and underneath. So it's going to take some effort to get that crease out. Let's keep working on the adhesive on the door jamb. So you can see I had to break that foam loose. I just used one of my little pry bars and just worked all up along that foam. I should be able to just lift the fender up and out as long as I can get this area to break loose. And there we go. That was a whole lot more work than I thought it would be. So now the fender's off. You can see this is supposed to be flat all the way across here. And that is really crimped to a sharp edge. I'm hoping I can straighten that out. It might crack. I could always weld it. But I'm really hoping I can save this fender because I don't want to buy another one. What I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to put a a block on here that I can work against, just so that block doesn't move around on me. I'm going to screw it down. So pretty much what I expected is just opened right up. It was such a tight crease, it split open, but it looks like I am going to be able to save it. I can flatten that out and smooth this area, and I'll have to go back and weld that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of something solid, piece of wood, piece of cardboard, to the shape of the passenger side, and then I'll be able to set it on there, and I'll use that as a guide to know if I'm too high or if I'm too low, if this is supposed to be straight. It looks like it's supposed to have just a slight arch to it, so I'll make a little template. That'll give me something to work with. So this is my template I made, and wow, you pretty much got it. I've got a little bit of a low spot right here, but that is definitely the shape I'm after. Now, I'm going to test fit this in place and make sure I have the shape correct. appears I have a little bit of a low spot right here. The nice thing about these lighter fenders, lighter gauge metal, you can manipulate them with your hands without having to get out the hammer. I still have just a little bit of a low spot right there. It actually looks like the other side, but I'm going to improve it. I'm going to make it better. There's a little bit of pressure that's pushing this up into the headlight. I want to leave some of that pressure and bring this fender down. Much better. Now there's just a slight gap all the way around there the way it should be. A little bit of a high spot right here. Now that I've got the fender screwed to the bumper, I do feel a high spot. Looks good enough to grind it and put some filler in it. Just a little bit more right there. On my Lincoln welder from my MIG, I have 0.025 wire. And I'm using an argon mix And 24 gauge, I'm saying maybe 22. So I should be switching to an A2, A2.5. So here's my dial. And we're going to go about 2.5. And since it's on that edge, it will melt away pretty quick. So I'll have to just do some quick little spots. Tack it. And get everything ready and I'll start welding. We'll turn it up just a hair. Perfect. That's really good. One of the things you'll see different guys doing is they'll just scuff this up with like 320 or 220 sandpaper and they'll put the filler right on the paint. I haven't had very good luck with that. I know a lot of them are doing it, a lot of the pros are doing it, but you get a little bit of a tap and it cracks and it starts to peel. So I like to use a fairly heavy grit. This one doesn't say on the back, but I typically use an 80 grit or a 120 grit, and I'll scuff up the whole area so that I have a good bite for the filler. I've got a good ground sharp edge to bond to. I'll scuff this up as well so I can put just a thin coat of filler, just some lightweight filler underneath there so that I can get a nice clean sharp edge. So this is a good place to stop on this section of the video. Please like, subscribe, leave comments, and then stay tuned for the next episode. I'll be putting on the filler and we'll get this primed, sanded, and painted and put it back on the car. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching.